Hello there, many thanks for joining us on our Thursday Business News Report. It's now time to bring you the feature on the show today as we look at the baking sector. Now, the price of loaves of bread expected to increase by at least 50% or more across different sizes in April and across the country due to some pressing challenges facing bakers here in Nigeria. Association of Bakers across the country have complained of the harsh business environment, which has forced several bakers to either shut down their operations or consider raising their prices, I beg your pardon. Now, in February, there were indications that the price of bread may rise significantly due to a combination of factors, including the escalating cost of flour and other baking materials, high energy cost, and multiple taxation. Now, following the Russia-Ukraine crisis, volatility in the commodities market has also been a major concern. Currently, the price of wheat, a major import for Nigeria and for bakers, has also seen a 100% surge since the conflict broke out. Now, the surge in wheat on the global scene continues to affect global and local prices of bread, pasta, cake, and other products, thereby causing food inflation. Joining me now live in our Lagos studio to discuss this and more, I have Ademola Adedoyin, Customer Service Representative of Precious Loaf. Thank you very much for joining us on the breakfast show this morning, Ademola.
Good morning.
Now, we've had the impact of the Russia-Ukraine crisis on the global scene affect food prices. Now, for Nigeria here, within the local market, what has been the response you've seen in terms of the price of flour and other commodities, especially for those that we don't necessarily produce here and those that we produce here in smaller volumes? What has been the market response you've seen firsthand?
Well, it's anyone who says this wasn't expected, you would have to question their envision, because these are two countries that are responsible for about 30% of global exportation of wheat and about 15% of the production. So when they are at loggerheads, you know what to expect, especially for SMEs, in the bakery industry. It's been so many ups and downs.
Tough.
Yeah, it's been really tough. And in terms of price hike, this is not the first time we are getting that. From the middle of last year to the end of last year, we all saw what happened in the baking sector. As a matter of fact, most business that were established last year did not make it into this year, and even the ones that were already established, had it tough. So it's been a whole lot of hanky-panky in there, because when things like this happens, definitely the prices of wheat will go up, then flour, then other ingredients,
we already seen the increments here in the price of egg, sugar, and other items. Now, how do you see these contending issues also bring to the fore the conversation bakers have to face, quality versus quantity now, and then the response of customers? I also know you also have to deal with third-party players, the distributors as well. In terms of the perceived notion of exploitative tendencies, that's what the masses would think, but how do you see the rate hikes going further in the coming days? 50% is what some are saying.
It doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon, if I'm being honest with you. Reduction of quality is quite inevitable. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like that hasn't been an option.
Well, we can't compromise on quality.
Well, yeah, exactly though, because at the end of the day, you have your consumers starting to complain. But when you look at things in context, you look at the facts and figures that we have in terms of the hike. How do we survive? And speaking of third party, most bakeries have the distributors to deal with. It's so bad to the point that even a lot of bakeries right now are selling in units. You see a small bakery out there.
That's a staying afloat strategy.
I'm telling you, you see a small bakery out there. They already have a segment, maybe by the side of where they are selling directly to consumers. So that's how really bad it is, and it's not really seeming like it's going to get better.
So you're one of those who thinks it's going to get much worse, especially with this whole crisis lingering for long.
If the war is protracted, there's really no light at the end of the tunnel. And as a nation, we've made lots of mistakes in the past as to how we did not even invest in our flour value chain. There were initiations about it in 2018 in Gombe State, but you question the sustainability, you question how long they are able to maintain such, and we are paying for it daily now.
We are definitely paying for it dearly. Now, talking about the local production of all of these commodities that you have to use, your ingredients here, Like we've talked about egg, we've seen quite sharp price surges as well. The conversation around the replacement of this flour now, some are saying let's look cassava. Are you one of those who will be willing to add this cassava bread to your recipe on your menu? And how do you see the reception? Because this isn't the first time this is coming to bear.
This is not the first time cassava has been talked about, but traditionally, when you look at how we've operated in the last, may say 10 to 20 years, you know, with the importation of wheat and flour, cassava is not really something most bakers will say they've looked onto in the past. But when you talk about cassava, you bring so many factors to play. We talk about health.
Calories.
Yeah, wheat is way healthier than cassava. You know, even the normal bread we eat, we all know how we get advised about it. You know, so when you talk of cassava, we talk about spikes on carbs, calories, you know, stuff like that. So I will not deny that at some point we might have to implement it. But I think the federal government needs to, or Nigeria as a whole, needs to now begin to value how we can implement sources to, you know, uplift.
We definitely need a bigger investment base within the value chain, especially for the production of these commodities and ingredients. Let's also talk about energy costs now for your business. Like we've also started, the initial conversation is the fact that some individuals have had to shut down. We've seen price hikes in terms of the energy cost of diesel. We're also seeing sharp increments now in the cost of liquefied petroleum gas, which bakers uses either diesel or gas. How do you stay afloat?
Oh, well, I can boldly sit here and tell you that the month of March should averagely be the toughest for any factory since the beginning of this year, because we could see the power situation that happened, say, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Almost nationwide, actually, you know. And we know where diesel is today. You know, it's crazy, so to say. I was asking one of my staff, you know, at the bakery on how much we actually spend, and it was ridiculous. And you start to question how much or how far can businesses carry on, you know, especially the SMEs in the baking industry. You know, we've consulted the Masters Bakers Association. We've gotten feedbacks from them, you know, but I wouldn't say it's as much as encouraging as we would want. So it's really worrying. We really don't know how far or how long it's going to last. So
today marks the last day of the month of March. We are wrapping up the first quarter of the year. What do you think would play out in the second quarter?
Well, it's all about what happens now. It's all about we can't outrightly just make projections because we can see how things are moving. And like I said earlier, it's not seeming like there are lights at the end of the tunnel. We've had lots of factories or bakeries, you know, trying to level up to things. As a matter of fact, orders, personally for my own bakery, I would say it's quite overwhelming, because then we have these orders coming in, but we cannot foot them, because it's quite overwhelming from the aspect of cost of productions, the cost of ingredients and stuff like that. So we cannot even meet, you know. So
the average man's opinion will be that, well, when you're looking at the economics of things, if you have a big demand like a bakery like yours, then that should be able to still manage to stay afloat, especially for the fact that demand would supersede these hikes you're seeing in energy and other commodities.
Definitely, that's a valid point. But then you're forgetting the fact that there are third parties. You know, we have distributors to deal with. We as manufacturers, we want to make our own money. We have staffs to pay. We have cost of productions to foot.
Your rent.
So yeah, exactly. That's, you know. Well, I'm blessed to own
have a space of your own.
A space of my own. But you look at other SMEs or other bakeries out there who don't have that, you know, luxury per se. So it's a whole lot of weight on the shoulders, and we are only keen to see how long most, you know, bakeries can stand afloat on this.
This is definitely time to test the resilience of the baking sector. We hope there's some light at the end of the tunnel. We hope that peace talks would definitely yield some good news at the end of the day.
It's not going to make any sense if the common Nigerian man cannot eat bread. What else do you want to eat? You know, before we talk about the price of rice, beans, you know, so
it's a staple we just have to consume. Thank you so much for your time on the breakfast show this morning, Ademola Adedoyin, and we definitely wish Precious Live all the very best. All bakers at this point in time are really having it tough, and we can only wait to see how things will play out. The intricacies are fast evolving, and we'll continue to keep tabs on it. Thank you once again.
You're welcome.